Before we start our webinar today, I would like to introduce our invited speaker, Ms. Amal Safiyyah. She graduated from University Malaya in Master of Medical Science, Microbiology, and has vast experience in diagnostic healthcare segments, including molecular diagnostics in infectious disease, cervical cancer, and oncology. So without further ado, I would like to invite Ms. Amal Safiyyah to present her presentation today. Well, dipersilakan.
Okay, thank you, Encik Ihsan.
Maybe you have to share your screen again. Yeah?
Yes, let me try.
Okay.
All right, everybody can see?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to start with thank you for everybody for attending the session. I know it has been, after your lunch session, maybe just bear with us for maybe half an hour for a quick sharing on molecular diagnostic testing. So Assalamualaikum, and I'm Amal. You can call me Amal or Amal Safiyyah. I'm the marketing lead for Roche Diagnostic for Molecular Solution. I'm going to present today on the molecular diagnostic testing with some of the new innovations that we had and what it can do for the accessibility of testing with the right test and at the right time. Okay, hang on. Right, so I'm going to cover 3 topics today. This is the what are the diagnostic solutions we have as an overview, the assays and the automation of the latest technology in molecular diagnostic. Right, just to start with a short message that we have small details tells a big story. So we know an undiagnosed infection is an untreated one. So a diagnostic test alone can change the course of someone's healthcare experience and their life. So I think just to get us all together, to work together for our patients. Okay, so diagnostic has been an integral part of all our decision making, and the management of infectious disease is very complex. Okay, with infectious disease, getting the right early is important. So this is for us to be able to take care of our own community, our patients, our friends, and families. With the surge of COVID-19, as you all know, has brought a lot of changes to the processes and workflow, and even to the staffing that we have in the labs. And labs are always constantly needed to ramp up or deal with the unpredictable disease outbreak and identify early infections. So this requires some kind of additional needs that labs need to think slightly different, and what kind of lab of tomorrow do we need as a solution. So what we found that is flexibility and automation is something that will enable us to respond to change in time, and automations to allow us to increase testing in demand while maintaining the quality of the results produced. Okay, so what choices do we have in today's diagnostic landscape? In our diagnostic solution or innovative diagnostic solution that we have, we offer cross-disciplinary integrations between serology, nucleic acid testing, and personalized lab automations. So this will open up vast or more possibility for diagnostic tests to address global burden of infectious disease. Okay, with the combined assays from serology and nucleic acid testing, we have more than 68 assays in infectious disease alone, and this is one of the broadest menus that is available in our market right now. So what are the assays? We cover a broad range of medical indications and diseases. So not only looking at the screening of the infections or the disease, we also look into confirming the infections either by specific immunoassays or molecular assays. And also with molecular assays, we can do further with confirmatory as well as monitoring with the viral load assays that we have. So what are the viral load assays? So viral load assays basically, commonly we term it as a molecular PCR assays with quantitative values. So PCR has been a gold standard for for a good reason or for a reasons. It's mostly very accurate and reliable and sensitive enough to detect a single copy of DNA. So objectively, or you can put it a definitive answer to a certain finding that you're looking at. So this comes to the point whether we have the right test that is given at the right time at the moment. Okay, so at Roche, we have Roche viral load assays, which is an IVD assays. So this is a high quality assays that has tremendous amount of data points to ensure that correct results are being captured early at the right time and at the first and the right time. And with each assays, they are designed with specific clinical needs. For example, if we look into HIV specifically, we have the security mechanism with the dual target assays to offer a better management in terms of the treatment monitoring. We also have the introductions of new assays like HIV-1 and 2 assays that can offer confidently early diagnosis for HIV positive patient. And we also have the hepatitis testing for a better patient management. So we covered these three different clinically differentiated assays in these three different disease areas. We'll start with the HIV patient management. So just to recap, as some of you has joined previous session, so my colleague Annie has talked about some of the backgrounds in terms of the disease overview for different categories of infectious disease. So for general patient management needs, what do we normally understand or what we look for is that there are different segments to different management of the patient. Either we are looking at specifically at prevention by the specific blood donation screening or to screen the blood that is being supplied to our patients or to community, and to look into picking up the exact condition of the patient, whether they are infectious or not. And after they have so-called confirmed or requires further treatment, they will need to start treatment monitoring, and this is the part that we are looking at the moment today. Okay, so just to recap, as you know, for HIV infection, it can be detected as early as 10 days once a person has been infected with, and the HIV RNA will be the first to be picked up after perhaps about 10 days. And subsequently, specific antigens and antibodies will be produced, and this can be picked up by our immunoassays or the fourth generation immunoassays. Okay, not to forget that as part of diagnostic algorithm, these are some of the guidelines or algorithms published. Generally, they are looking at HIV-1 and HIV-2 identification from immunoassays. But at the end of the point is that they will need to do some kind of confirmation. So we are looking at specifically either at HIV-1 type PCR, or if you can do a HIV-1 and 2 differentiation. So this will come to the additional benefits that we have for our HIV solutions, that we have the additional HIV-1 and 2 for detections of HIV. Okay, so as part of early diagnosis, this is very important or crucial as part of patient management, is that it offers high chance of a cure if it's applicable in certain disease for patient, or to reduce any cost of treatment, as well as to control the prevalence of the epidemic in the community. So just to share with you, as at Roche, what we have is we have 2 assays, which is the cobas HIV quantitative assays. It uses a dual target designs, and basically why is this important is that HIV is, we know, is very or highly mutative, means they will mutate when they are succumb to certain pressure. So when there's a sequence change to their genome, it will impact in terms of whether our assay is able to pick it up. And with the introduction of the dual target, it allows or avoid these areas that is being constantly, pressured by selective drugs treatment, and avoid any potential under-quantitation. So this is one of the key benefits of having 2 targets to detect the infection. Secondly is to introduce to you that we have the HIV-1 and 2 qualitative assays. So this is basically to offer an immediate differentiation of HIV-1 and 2 by PCR assays, so which is a more sensitive and more specific assays. Although we know in the market there are antibody testing for HIV and 1, there are improvement in current market that you can also do it with molecular PCR nowadays. Okay. So this is the only multiplex assays that also incorporates the dual target technology, just for your information. Okay, so now just to share a bit on the solution that we had, the assays that we have is called the Cobas HIV, and it's mostly tested using the EDTA plasma. Okay, and the use is mostly for clinical management of HIV patient or to confirm HIV patient in antibody reactive individuals. Okay, the assays we detect is the genotypes between HIV type 1, genotype M, O, and N. Okay, so I mentioned just now these are the two target regions, the LTR and the GET region that we detect. So these two regions are the non-drug targeted regions. So commonly drugs are being designed to target the region here, and most of the time this region will have some kind of variance being come up or rise up from this. Okay, so by avoiding this, we allow accurate identification or quantitation of the HIV RNA. All right, so next we'll look into the hepatitis segment. So for the hepatitis B, majority is that what we are looking for is an accurate information for the patient management. So what do we know about patient management for hepatitis B? Okay, so currently the hepatitis B is actually a chronic or it's a lifelong disease, right? So once you got it, probably you have to undergo a lifelong treatment. And the type of treatments that is available is either the interferon treatments or the nucleoside or nucleotide analogs. So these are two different categories of actions or effects. So just to share with you is that nucleoside nucleotide analogs is the common or the most preferred first line testing, but it's always succumb to a certain kind of resistant development, right? So we require certain kind of confidence in results in order to detect throughout the disease management for the patient. But if you can see, with accurate identification of the status of the viral load is also important to identify what are the current status, whether they have adherence or not to the treatment. So in Roche, okay, I'm not just talking about molecular here, but in general, we have the full spectrum of testing that is available, coming from either screening testing up to the treatment monitoring, where we have the initiation of the treatment, on treatment, and end of the treatment decision point by monitoring the hepatitis B DNA as well as some of the HBV markers. Okay, and at these follow-ups that we also have an antibody screening that we have as an option. Okay, so with Cobas HBV DNA, the DNA detection has no RNA interference. Why I say that is because when we design the assays is that we know HBV has a dual strand, and also partially they will have RNA strand as part of the processes. So with this, HBV DNA was actually designed in such a way that the thermocycling protocol is only for the DNA amplifications. This is to ensure that we give the accurate information for the clinician to guide the clinician for the treatment monitoring of the patients. Right. So this comes to the Cobas HBV kit that we have. So just to share with you just now, this is actually a quantitative assays, and it's also for the management of patient for chronic hepatitis B, not for a confirmation, but mostly for monitoring. Okay. So the assays that was designed, uses the two primers is in the pre-core and the core regions. So this actually is the non-drug targeted region as well. And the genotypes that we cover up to genotype A to H, including the predominant pre-core mutants. So one of the highlights about hepatitis B is that it can go very high in terms of viral load. So the assay's ability to pick up broad spectrum of viral load is important. So for hepatitis B, we can detect as low as 10 IU per mil, up to 1 billion IU per mil. Right, then moving on to hepatitis C. So the similar patient management is needed to confirm HCV infection and also to provide link to care. So we also need to ensure certain confidence in results is being given for the end of treatment. So we know HCV is slightly different. It's cured, it's curable. So by detecting it correctly and enrolling it for treatment is also important. Okay. Additional that we need to highlight to you is because HCV is also similar to HIV, which is an RNA virus, and they are always succumb or prone to certain mutation because they need to change whenever they are being threatened. So we have developed some kind of mechanism in terms of detection. So we call it a dual probe design for hepatitis C. So this is a combination of error-prone RNA replication that will detect specifically for the hepatitis C. Okay, so the dual probe design is actually redundant to protect against potential polymorphism that with high specificity for detection of HCV RNA. Okay, this is important. Okay, probably to call whether the person is cured for the infection. Right. So I'm going to share you here one quick slide just to highlight this is the assays that we have. It's actually a cobas HCV assays. It's not really a qualitative, it's a quantitative assays with two claims. So we can actually report it as a confirmatory assays or to report it as a quantitative monitoring assays. But traditionally, we know we require this monitoring of hepatitis C. But nowadays, what we understand with the introduction of DAA drugs, the requirement lessen, and we only need to identify or test it once at least to confirm that the person has been cured for hepatitis C. So one of the key importance highlighted by WHO as well is that we need to be able to detect the HCV virus as low as 25 IU per mil, or for our assays actually 15 IUs per mil. Okay. Right. I'm just gonna talk a little bit more just to share with you about some of the transplants assays that we have as part of the virology assays in our portfolio, right? So this is important, especially for transplant patient and how patient management differs. Probably you have heard of all these infections in other serology markers, but the usage is different. Okay. So just to give you a bit of a background in terms of the viral infection in transplant patient. So what are the common transplant that we have being performed in our hospital? We have the solid organ transplant, or we have the hematopoietic stem cell transplant. So these are the two common transplant that is being conducted in majority of the hospital. And these transplant patients are actually at risk for certain bacterial or viral infections, primarily due to their condition which is reduced, or their immune system is being compromised due to certain requirement, right? Because they need to receive certain organ to reduce any rejection, their immune response is being reduced. Okay, so in terms of what kind of viral infection in transplant patient that we are looking at, there's actually three categories of infections, either CMV, cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, or BKV virus. And this has actually caused a lot of complications in patients, and some of them has resulted in either acute or chronic rejection, and worse is mortality in some of the cases. Okay, so this is why we try to highlight importance of testing transplant. In terms of what is available currently, or what we know is available. There are different testing methods that is out there. So either we use it for pre-transplant assessments of the infectious risk, or we look into the viral load determination and to diagnose of any infections. So we know there is serology tests available previously to determine whether there were any past infection and identify the type of risk for the patient. We also know that CMV, previously we have the antigemia testing. I'm not too sure whether it's commonly used now, but previously it was used. However, there were lack of standardization to any laboratories comparison. So, and also limited utility in certain patients with leukemia. So this is one of the limitation for antigemia. It was one of the common tests that we used for CMV infection or infectious load that we're looking at. Okay, nowadays we have the nucleic acid testing, which is very sensitive and specific, and commonly it's quite fast to give you results for CMV, EBV, or BKV, and it's one of the common preferred methods nowadays. All right. So for us, we also have the assays that we mentioned, and the assays we have is actually a quantitative assays, right? So it will detect for all the viral loads for CMV, EBV, and BKV, right? So as per global adoption, viral load monitoring with nucleic acid testing has been the most preferred by various guidelines worldwide. And taking into account these three requirements that requires that assays can deliver detections of CMV, EBV, and BKV in transplant patient, incorporates nucleic acid testing with standardization to WHO international standard, and the frequency of patient monitoring requirement. This also will differ according to their based on their organ types and the risk status as well. So this has been endorsed by international guidelines, and as part of the treatment guidelines also, nucleic acid testing has been recommended as for the preemptive management of CMV, BKV, and EBV, right? So this one reason is that because nucleic acid testing is more accurate and comparable since they have been standardized to WHO international standards. So by having a certain set of standard in place, allow you to share or cross information between different reporting laboratories. Okay, so that is on the virology assays that we have currently for HIV, hepatitis, and transplant. But not to forget, I also just want to share with you, in future, we also have others assay, or already some of the assays are already available. For example, respiratory virus. You probably have heard of SARS-CoV or COVID testing. We have done that a lot for the past 2 or 3 years. And we also have additional claim that we can do additional third-party assays where we can look into specifically HSV, adenovirus, para-influenza virus as well. Okay, so that's on the viral load or the virology assays that we have. So come to the last part of the sharing to you. I just want to share to you what kind of automation in molecular diagnostic that we have nowadays, coming from Roche especially, and certain sets of high expectation in automation is required, because we know to manage the increase in workload or to keep the same laboratory settings and maintaining the quality of the results is important. So I'm just would like to introduce to you the latest additions of our molecular system. So it's an innovation that was made with the intention to make it accessible for all. So probably you have heard of before, we have the 6800 system at the back here, the bigger system, which is the 8800 system, and the new system, which is the 5800 system. So this is a smaller size, and also allowing to run more flexibility because it's allowing to run smaller size of sample as well. Okay, so introducing the 8800 family that we call it, we just replace the X with any of the numbers relevant. So this will categorize into different segments of laboratory fitting. So if you look into on the right hand side here, the two analyzers that we have is the high throughput analyzers. Normally or commonly we fit into a centralized or a total lab automation. And the new system that we are introducing is the smaller, I will say can put into a decentralized approach, means individual hospital can also have it as a standalone solution. So the benefit between this is that the assays that is being used in all these systems are the similar assays. So you can interplay or interchange across different platforms. And it offers you a consistent user experience across platforms. So whatever you have learned in one analyzer is not different from another analyzer. The operation will be the same. And if there's a need to scale it up to match certain volume growth, there is a way that we can connect or integrate the different platforms for the lab. So this is what our 5800 system look like. It's actually designed for laboratories who has no room to compromise or who has limited space in their laboratories. So it can run or it requires a space as small as 1.1 meter square, and the flexible system for molecular testing will deliver the absolute automation. Okay, so full automation here. Through consolidation means it will consolidate certain features and as well as assays, proven integration and standardization from a single small footprint. So this is probably an ideal solution for smaller labs that wants to do something what a bigger lab can do. Right? So the 5800 system is a compact, full, automated molecular system that balance a broad menu in efficiency, allowing flexible workflow and ease of use. So you can see that various types of testing can be done and various category of specimen can be loaded into the analyzers. So it's designed for lab with smaller testing capacity of at least 20 to 150 tests per day. Not specifically one assay, can be a combination of assay. So it's a fully automated analytic process for simplified and efficient testing. So lesser hands-on time for preparation, no preparation for reagents required. Of course, since it's a smaller throughput or smaller size, it will churn out lesser testing capacity, but not too bad. It will give you up to 144 test results in 8-hour shift or up to 500 results in one whole day. So you can leave the machine running without having to come back to the machine, right? It has consolidated more than 90% of routine molecular tests onto a single platform. So to date, there are about 13 IVDs assays, and we can open it up for other assays for testing. So depending on whether you are looking specifically at the viral or DNA or the bacterial or any other features that you're looking for, because we have the open channel concept, right? And then we have the intelligent software handling of priority samples and a customizable control concept that offers you flexibility in terms of whether you want to run one control per day or you want to run one control per batch. So by default, what you know from Roche is that you will run one control per batch run. But in moving forward with 5800, we have this customizable control concept that allows you flexibility to choose how you want to run your assays. All right, then we have the virtual integrations. So what can it do is that it will benefit the labs in some ways in terms of whether it can be connected to a pre-analytic or post-analytic system. But one thing I would like to highlight here is that we can also integrate to a IT network, or we call it in our system called Cobas Infinity Laboratory Solution. So this is actually benefiting in terms of monitoring what samples goes in, when is a sample out, and what is the result. So-called like a mini LIS for the lab, but it does more than that. It can also do analytics for you as well. Okay, and lastly is standardization. So they will use common assays, reagents, and similar format of handling. So if let's say you in a lab that you have a combination of different platform, for example, 5800 and 6800, the same assays can be used or can be unloaded and loaded into the platform. And what it does is that it doesn't require your lab operator to actually retrain or get trained again. So this allow whatever results being reported should be the same as the other reported in another analysis or another system. Just to take a look at what I mentioned just now. So some of the features that we have is that we have configurable control concept. Maybe I forgot to mention about mixed batching. We have prolonged stability of reagents because of the control concept and assay and test prioritization. So just to share what it means, okay, by default, we normally will have one set of control per run. But moving forward, we can open up to 72 hours. Means you don't have to run control today or tomorrow if you like, right? And then only need to run a new control when you loaded a new batch of reagent cassette or new lots of reagent cassettes. Okay. So it allows mixed batching. So perhaps some of you have seen or have heard of a molecular system before. Normally we go by a concept of batch. And the first thing that comes in mind is that can I only do one assays per time? Okay, for the 5800, because they have optimized, it will open up and allow you to run up to 6 different assays at once. So for example, if you have 5 assays of HIV and perhaps you want to combine with five tests of HCV, together with any other test that the lab runs or CMV or anything, you can run it all in one. Together even with the LDT. Means LDT here is anything of the lab developed test that is run on open channel here. Okay, so this allows you to combine. Of course, there are some assays that we are unable to combine. One example would be hepatitis B, because to ensure accuracy of the detection for the viral load, we want to only monitor the hepatitis B DNA in this case. So we don't want to have a PCR protocol that will, overlap or create confusion. Okay. In terms of reagent stability, once the kit is open, you can leave it on board without taking it out for 36 days. If let's say you have loaded into the analyzers, you can take it out and put it in the fridge for up to 3 months. Okay. And for the assays and test prioritization, it will be based on the type of efficiency to run, assays, and the carriers being loaded. So priority or specimen will be processed in the first next run. So in this case is just to highlight, whenever you have additional samples you want to run, that tiba-tiba is important. You want to know the results in the next hour or next 2 hours. Okay, then you can load it in. It will bypass certain of the other tests, then it will prioritize this test. Okay, so I've shared about the system now, just to share with you what we have in terms of the assay menu now and what we have coming or many more to come in the future. Right, so on the left you will see a donor screening, so perhaps not really applicable to a diagnostic lab currently. This is commonly used in the blood bank setting, where we look into what is the 3 viral marker, which is the HIV, Hep B, and Hep C from the MPX assay, multiplex assays. Okay, we have the blood-borne disease, so this is the viral load assays. We have the sexual health for cervical screening or for any STI screening, and the transplant panel that we also have can be used for testing. For some of you, if you're familiar, we have respiratory assays for COVID testing. However, previously, because prior when the pandemic hit us, we didn't have the 5800 launch yet. So most of the system that can run COVID is actually those with the 6800 system. Okay, and in future we are going to expand to gastrointestinal, antimicrobial, and others. We are also looking into CMV claim extension for congenital. Just to share, it's not yet ready, but it's under evaluation, ready to fit for development. Right, so this will come to the last of my slide. Just to summarize about 5800 system. It's an innovation that is made accessible for all different labs. Okay, so it can run as small as 20 samples per day or up to 150 samples per day, right? It covers whatever assays that has been available for 6800 and also be applicable for 5800. Okay, the additional thing here is that perhaps some of you have heard that our assays probably can load perhaps 3 assays at a time previously. But now with the expansion on 5800, it can go up to 15 different assays at one time. So you can do as many assays loaded and you don't have to take it out. Okay, whenever you need. It will run at maximum 6 different assays if you like in a single run. Otherwise, if you require only one assay, you can also run one assays. Okay, up to 144 assays test results in 8 hours with the ability to prioritize samples and assays. So the customizable control concept is something new. This is also new to me, just to share, because I've been doing molecular testing for Roche for almost 10 years. So this is something to look forward to, but do share whether you have any concern on this control concept with us, right? And in terms of walk away, we have about 4 hours, and the size that we require per lab is about 1 meter square only. So if you can imagine about the machine is about my height. Cannot measure by my body size, but yeah, you just need about 79 cm. Yeah. Okay. I think I took most of the time already. That's the end of the talk for today. So I'd like to thank you for your attention, and if you have any question, please let me know, and also just need your help to fill up the attendance and feedback.
Okay, thank you, Amal, for your talk. We have a question here in the chat box from Nur Irwan Sham Muhammad Zain. Do you have MERS-CoV in respiratory panel?
MERS-CoV, unfortunately, is not an IVD assay for us. So we have the utility channel, which allows you to run the third-party assays. So if you have a third-party assays, that I mean probably not from Roche assays, you can run it on the system as well.
So you can use the platform to run like assay from other brand.
Yes, but we need to use the utility channel approach.
I have a few questions because this automated system, I think most of the labs nowadays is going forward for an automated setting.
Yes.
Currently, is there any like Cobas 5800 in KKM setting?
Because it was only launched last year. I mean, locally we got the approval last year, end of I think around November last year. So this is the first time I'm sharing to you all of KKM team as well. But if you like, we can go to each respective sites if you want to have a look. We have one installation at the moment, but it's not in the KKM site. So if you like, maybe we can arrange a visit to the site.
Yeah. One more question is about the mixed batching. Because you mentioned like the system can run 6 different assays in a single run, right? Does it like using the same sample, or you have to prepare different sample for different assays?
It depends. So it depends whether, for example, if the same let me take example blood-borne disease where we're talking about HIV and hepatitis C, which can combine. So they are using the same sample type, which is either plasma or serum.
See.
Okay, if it's from the same patient, you can run both HIV and Hep C. The only thing you need to do is make sure you load the HIV and Hep C inside the machine, and then the machine will do everything for you.
Alright. Okay, we have another question from Cik Nur Hazmir. What are the validated type of samples used for the transplant panel test? CMV, BKV, EBV.
Okay. Thank you, Encik Hazmi, for the question. Unfortunately, I have to be upfront because when we are doing the validation as well as to do with the WHO international standard standardization, the sample type that we use is the EDTA plasma. So we don't have other sample types that can be run at the moment. So that is the current single sample type that we have. I hope that answers.
Yeah. Is there any more question from the participant today? Yeah, I don't think there's any. Yeah. So on behalf of ASOM, I would like to thank Ms. Amal for your sharing session today. And please don't forget to fill in the attendance link shared in the chat box. Before we end our webinar today, there are some announcements that I would like to share. First is ASOM will organize a scientific conference this May. So I would like to invite all scientists, MLTs, pathologists, or even from the private side to join us this upcoming conference in May. And second, please subscribe to our YouTube channel because the recordings of this webinar and the previous webinar will be uploaded in that channel. And lastly, there is one more announcement from ASOM for membership. So I will post the announcement in the chat box. So for scientists, KKM scientists who would like to join ASOM or to renew your membership, you can refer to the announcement I post in the link. Okay, I think that's all from us. Yeah, thank you again, Ms. Amal, for your sharing session, and thank you, Roche, for joining our ASOM webinar series. See you again in the next webinar next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one more, Ms. Amal, maybe later you can share the slides.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, you can send it to me, and I will distribute to all members.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you, everyone.